Hi everybody. Today we're going to do the different parts of a face. We're first going to do the lines and accent lines around the eye. But I thought, well, we'll just do little lines and whatever, and you're not going to get it. You're just going to see a line there. So I thought, first we should show you a shape around an eye. If you feel your eye is actually inside a socket. And you can actually feel the ridge of that bone. What I'd like you to do is feel where that ridge is, and I want you to put the makeup on it. So you're going to take, this is called a thumb pad. You don't get your makeup all over yourself. You can use the teardrop sponge I talked about. You can use your finger if you want. I don't want to get makeup all over the place. So I'm using this, but I'm going to also switch over to the sponge and show you how simple it is to apply makeup around your face without getting it all over the place. Of course, everything I tell you is on top of the hand. The fingers should stay as clean as possible. I always have little squares, paper towels with a little alcohol 70 on it. I also have baby wipes. There's a black face cloth on the bottom here to catch all of my dust, dirt, or anything. And what you're doing is you're warming up your makeup. Usually I do it with the spatula. But you're trying to make sure that there's no real highlight around it. You come to the eye and you're touching the edge, right where you can feel the bone on an angle. And then look up and you'll feel this will go right in and you'll feel the bone underneath it, and it should just mark it. Go around and then lightly pat it. What you're doing is smoothing it out, and if there's any clumps, you shouldn't have had clumps if you did it right, but you're patting it out. If you have extra baggy lids and everything, you're going to have to pat this and set it real quick, because the longer you take, those creases are going to come up. If you do it and you notice the creases, dust off the powder, then pat it. Just keep patting it, and you'll be surprised how that extra makeup that's there will become liquefied again and smooth itself out naturally. Then you're going to want to set it again, and you should be fine. Anytime you put on makeup somewhere and it's extra in a line, you just dust off any extra powder and just keep doing this till it disappears. It literally will disappear until it feels almost dry. You'll see that crack that you are afraid of disappear. Then set it with powder and you should be fine for the rest of the day. Now, that was showing you the teardrop. You can see how that is. And you want to take the baby wipe and go around and clean it up. This is called a raccoon eye. It always has the nice amateur look to it. I've already done the other side. Now, here is my little finger thing. I could have done the same thing with the other teardrop that I'm going to do now. Our friends from South America and our Spanish people, as well as some of ours, the girls are creating flower effects. But I'm going to show you the guys first. Then we'll go to the girls. Look for where your eyebrow starts and touch it. See what I mean about the movement? Now, if you find it's going on an angle like this and you like it straighter, all you do is come back over and touch it again. When I do my white eye, I always use ultra white and it pops it. Now, depending on how much accent you want, is how high you're going to go. You're going to do your circle right here and then a tail with a slight eye line, black eye line here, just to give it a more professional finish to it. Unless you're doing the new Spanish look where they're actually tapering the white into the goose. So there's no definite line. That's really sharp on some people. Me, I like whatever looks good on my face, period. I have judged people, and I say to people, I hate a raccoon eye, and somebody comes in and has this stunning face, it fits them. It depends on how big your eyes are, how big the bags are. Sometimes a raccoon eye can hide the bags of your eye, and sometimes it emphasizes it. If you have real big bags and they have a tendency to crack, the reason why they're cracking is because when you pat them, first you're irritating them and the water glands kind of fill up and everything. You really need to hold them down, pat them as much as you can, and then set them real quick. The longer you wait to finish this eye, this is all going to crack on you. If you notice it crack, go back and pat it with your middle, this finger, not your index finger. It's a little too hard. And pat it and pat it and pat it. It'll break down any excess you have. Some people say, oh, I put a little more makeup in there and then pat it down. Usually there's enough makeup above it and you activate it, it fills in. If not, you just go and put a slight dab into it and pat it out. Then remember to set it immediately. If you don't set it immediately, it's going to crack again. Anyways, if you like the way you did your point, you can make it a little heavier. Can you do this with your finger too? Yes, you can. But, like I said, I don't want to get makeup all over my hands if I don't have to. Where can you get these? There are beauty suppliers. The teardrop is probably going to be easier for you to get. And then you're going to do the upper lid. And you're smoothing it out. Then you're going to come back with your Q-tip. Saliva is one of the easiest things to take makeup off with. It doesn't irritate your eyes or your skin. And you don't want to put makeup remover on it or anything like that, because then go around the bone. You can feel it as you're going around. Now that's a guy's look, or it can be a girl's too. Now, if you're a girl, see, for me, no movement, no real movement. It gets bigger. That means I put it on the right muscles. If your eye socket doesn't bloom, it's the wrong size. It's the wrong shape. Your face should go like that, get bigger, and then disappear, and then get big again. That's a surprise look, or, it shows your attitude and personality. If you're just doing just a simple line and everything, it's just going to go flat, just like a skip can. You got to give your face accent. Anyways, here's your first one. Now, The girls, like I said, what they're doing is creating a flower effect. And everybody says to me, how do they get those perfect circles? They go back with a Q-tip. And they clean in between. It's the same thing. If this is too high, too big, you bring it down. I also kept it, when you have character lines starting on your forehead, you want to keep them below it so your eyebrow doesn't do the cracking routine in between each one. That gives you the basic size there. We'll do the guys over here. So then while I'm doing the girl, we can do the guy. Like I said, it's all up to you, whatever shape you want to do. I'm on. Okay. Come down. I always tell people the space between right here, your eye and eye, should be the same width as your eye. If you're too close in, since my nose is long and narrow, I am creating a ski lift. Like the mice and the mouse, and everybody's going to just keep going. If you want a long look and keep going, go ahead for it. But the difference that changes my whole face is the shape of my nose. When I put a round ball nose on, totally changes the shape. If I put a longer nose on, I look like Cyrano de Bergerac. If I put just the tip on, I look like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. The point is, you've got your guys look, your girls look. You don't have to create all of this. I'm just giving you an idea. If you didn't want to create this, you could just go with the simple basic arch. You can create any design you wanted, but I didn't want us to start off with, oh, it's boring. You know, all he did was create just a plain eye. Now we did do a raccoon, and the reason why we did a raccoon is because we're going to create lines down here. And if I didn't have the white on, it just would be on a goose skin, and you wouldn't get it. I also like to stay smaller. There are guys' eyes that go way up into here, and I'm not against it. I just think that some of those eyes just don't have any movement. They're absolutely stunning in photos, and they look beautiful. I mean, they're spectacular looking, don't get me wrong, but I think the guys, and even the girls that have big faces like that, their I think what they're doing is they either have a square face. You first saw I had I believe it's 7 or 8 different kinds of face. You have a long face, a boxy face, an arch-shaped face, an oval shape, a diamond-shaped face like this. And what you're really trying to do, a beautician, is trying to create the perfect oval face. So if you have jowls, they're trying to disappear by creating a rouge line that comes into it. You're doing the same thing with your eyes. If your eyes are droop and closed, we're trying to open them. If you're creating, you have a high forehead, some people emphasize the white coming up here because they don't want to see their forehead if they're bald. It just depends on how much space you have and how big you need for the size volume of the hair or headpiece and everything, or the lack of. The only problem I don't like, you're this big and got a little head. That little finger is sticking on those shoulders. There's just something odd about it. And if it looks odd to you, it doesn't fit. Your head should be in proportion to your body. The body is so many heads in length, and you should think of that length as the same length as your costume. If you're short-waisted, you still have sections that should match with your head. Anyways, getting off of that. All right, so we've cleaned around, and we've got just some basic shapes. I could have went with just a circle and said, let's go for the lines, but I wanted to do that. You want to set it. Now, we're using a liquid eyeliner, which means I can go right over my makeup. But if you were doing black, you would have to know exactly where your design is going, and you would have to clean out the area. The only problem is around the eye, cleaning out the area is very, very irritating, especially if it's on the upper lid or where the sensitive areas of the eye is. So that's brushed. I have, as you've seen in my previous thing, I have a kabuki, this is bamboo kabuki brush. Don't brush over your makeup, because once the powder is in it, you have a disaster on your hands. Okay. Now I could outline the eyes and everything, but that's not the point of this class. We had to create white. I could have done just a class on shapes, but my pages are basically 4 pages. There is the lines around the eyes, then there is picking an eyebrow, and then it's picking a muzzle, and then it's picking a mouth, or a mouth and then a muzzle. Sometimes you put the muzzle first so you know what size mouth you need. It can go either way on that one. That's a funny one. Ha ha ha. Anyways, the same thing with if you're doing your eyes. You can get one of these. It's a beautiful cosmetic sponge. Put the white, boom, it touches everything you need. The hands are even further away so you can see where you're putting it, versus some people are just slapping it in and then working forever taking it off. This was so little makeup for this. You'll be surprised how much makeup you're not wasting, plus half the makeup's on your fingers anyways. Alright, so there you are. Now I didn't use ultra white this time, but if I did, that would pop like you wouldn't believe. You can put it on a little heavier, but I think it's too much. It's a waste. So the black that we're doing on these can be a 0 fine, or you can use a 00 for a thicker line, or you can use a Pro Pencil. The only problem with a Pro Pencil is if you're trying to get a fine line first, it isn't going to work. What I would like to do is show you what everybody is doing today. they are actually using a liquid eyeliner. The reason why these are really super is that you don't have to put any more flour, baby powder on your face. I like flour better. You don't have to do any more. You set this, outline the face and everything, and there's no more baby powder. You don't have to worry about tearing because this is a waterproof thing. And the first thing you want to do is outline the eyes. Some people say to me, "Oh, I just got some on it." What I usually suggest is you take a little white, put it on the Q-tip, make sure you don't have too much. The black is on here now. Go back with another one. You put so little on. And that's my secret to repairing. You want to take, I have tiny little puffs that I then go in. I don't use the big one, but I will this time. Let it sit for a second. As I said, you don't want the baby powder on this. If you touch baby powder with this, you're going to clog it, then just throw them away. Also, when you're done using them, you want to make sure you put the cap on, because if you come back at the end of your gig and you left the lid off, you can go buy another one. Okay, we had to go out there. See how simple it was to repair? So we wiped it out by putting a little makeup on the Q-tip, not a lot. Wiped it and all of the black came out on it. You didn't go twice through it. Get another one, put just a little makeup on it, lightly touch it, you pat it slightly, and then you set it. Okay, now we're going to do the top. I always tell people to do a thin line first, and then a little thicker. If you're on a stage, where you're using a liquid eyeliner, you do not want to let this go until it feels dry. If you do it before, you'll have two lines on your upper lid. If you're going to be on a stage, your lines have to be bolder. If you're up close with the children and you want to be a lighter goose, lighter lines are terrific. Now, if I want the eye to be bigger, I don't come into the eye. I leave it out, it makes the eyes look bigger. If I want to bring the eye in, I then go all the way down Now the other side. And I'm touching the eyelashes, by the way. Now some people who put on black eyelashes, false eyelashes that have thick base, feel they don't need to do this. The only problem is that if when they do put their eyelash on and it's slightly to one side, you can see that black line isn't there. I'm also stopping at the end of the eye. I'm not adding a tail yet. There's your eyes. Now the reason why we did that is because when you go to put your line in the center or your center here, you're going to have to go back and do this, and it's going to be off and everything, because we're going to close our eye like this and we're going to find out where the center is and put the line. Okay, the first one is suggesting a triangle at the top. Now you can, I usually suggest with a triangle, a single line. Remember, it's better to have a small one first and go back and lengthen it. See what it looks like. Can you see it? If you can't see it, some people have bags, or they call it excess top lids. If you have one and the skin comes over it, this idea is not good for you, because you're going to be putting it on the flap that's way up here. And when you close your eye, you'll have nothing there. It'll be like the dot's here, but there's nothing here, and it just doesn't work. And now I'm going off one angle and I'm going off the other. If while you're doing this you find you're not getting any of the eyeliner on it, it means there's powder on it and you're going to not get anything. Now, like I said, I made it quite big and I'm not seeing it at all. If I'm not seeing it, there's no need to go through that design. I would have to create that line all the way up into here. For you to finally see it. That's drastic versus all you saw was this little triangle. And now, look at how long it has to be. So it's, like I said, it's all up to you. Also, while you're doing it, you see how it can go like this? You have to be very careful. Do you see what I mean about the line? You go all that effort and it just looks like a little hat. You'll have an even better thing. You got to create that over here too. Now that is the triangle. It's the first one. If you did just a little tiny one, it'd be just a tiny little dot here, but when you put your false eyelashes on, you won't see it behind the eyelashes either. But this is like your Harlequin design, where you're splitting the eye. And I'm not going to do this on the other side. And some people are going to look at it and go, I 100% don't like it. Or some people are going to go, oh, that is neat. That is so neat. And the further you went up, the more I liked it. Now with this, the first one underneath it, they're suggesting the exact same thing. They're going like this into the face. If you didn't think that was dramatic enough, imagine cutting the face even more. Now, I'm going to show you on the lady's side. Let's highlight her. I could have done it a tad neater. Some of the girls, when they do this, they actually highlight them in blue, or they don't use black. They might add a different color to it. And some of them add several colors. I'm just trying to show you the design first. They also come back and add a star. This pen also comes in all different colors. So if you wanted to outline all this in purple, yellow, green, I believe there's about 8 colors this pen comes in. I don't know if Priscilla Moosberger is carrying all the colors. I know She said she was going to be carrying the black. But you could see if you actually did this all in blue or several colors, it could be quite pretty. I've even seen people using these on face painting. It's all up to, like I said, the individual. This also comes with the opposite end, comes with a triangle. There's your triangle look for your girl, and your triangle look for the guy. It almost looks like a European Harlequin look. Gives you an idea. I could have done the exact same thing with this. Touched it up, dragged it, made a little line. You can see the triangle. If you feel it's not, you can keep touching it, or you have that. Now, like previously, you don't like the way it looks. Make sure that that's as clean as you can get it. That was the finger one. That's that one. I'm rolling some white makeup on it. That was just using a finger wipe. I found that a Q-tip with the color actually on it actually takes it off better. You can see that the Q-tip is starting to get black. Now the reason why we're doing this is, say you have so much effort you put into that beautiful design and everything, taking off the whole thing and starting over can be quite upsetting. I can actually clean this out faster, but I'm trying to show you what a beginner would do if he were doing it. I could have taken one of my sponges, gone in, re-wet the area, and then cleaned it out. Everything's on there. That's my repair one. I can clean them out with Dawn soap and use them again. Go back with your teardrop sponge. And reapply your makeup. Now the only thing with this class, like I said, if we didn't put all of this makeup on here, we could have just taken your face and we could practice just one thing, but every time you're adding a design, you have to go back and do it again. Now we have all these different designs. I just showed you how simple it was to clean it up and just to put that line. If you went back and you were creating the circle, you were creating the different things, you can do the lines like I said. We did that first. you want to make sure you go back and set that with baby powder. Should be able to touch it. I think instead of this it's ending up as a class on how to repair your face. You can do the same thing as what I'm doing around your muzzle and your mouth. You apply the makeup right back onto the area because you've dried it out. And then you wipe it off. Then reapply your makeup. And remember to set it. We just showed you how to repair an area without taking the whole thing off. Which is basically not the class I was teaching, but what I'm getting at is be willing to try different things. You tried going around stuff. This ended up creating almost like your eyebrow effect. This is your eyebrow effect. This was your eye. If I was to take off, add, I'm going to be irritating my eye beyond whatever. So what I would suggest you do is this. Take a picture of your face. Make sure it's nice and clear and everything. You could even put white makeup on your whole face. Then photograph it. Just like this. Take it to your printer and print it. Now your face is done. All of these shapes can be tried on your face that you just created. I think that's going to be my better way of teaching this. I think instead of just taking it off, trying it on, taking it off, I'm going to show you how to do each one of these on your face. I'm going to actually photograph my own face with a whole face of white makeup. And then I'm going to go and show you on each page what it can look like. I'm used to, when I'm teaching, I show still shots, not physical how you're putting it on. You see this, and then you see that. You see this, then you see that, and then you see the finished face. But you never see me actually holding the pen up and actually placing it in the place. With this on your own real face, you can actually, you take your own face, it's all white, and you're drawing the line on it. See whether you like it. Throw the page away if you don't like it. That gives you an idea. The only difference is, like I said, when you open your eye, that little triangle you put there, you can't see it. You can see it below because there's nothing to go up and wrinkle or do anything unless you have character lines or a bag under your eye. Then that line is going to start getting distorted through those cracks. And the more makeup you put in it, as you move, it distorts. It's just like this here. If you put this on the wrong muscle and everything, it'll totally distort the wrong way. it won't make a round. It'll make a square. It'll it it's just like your mouth. It should change. So instead of ending up with really a lot of lots and dimensions and shapes under the eye, what it ended up doing was showing you the different eyebrows. I think the eyebrow would probably be an easier thing to demonstrate, because if I'm just wiping off an eyebrow off my face, you can get an idea what the difference is. Okay. There's your regular eye that's staying on your natural eye socket, what I'm telling you about where the bone is. This one is going up a little more, creating a more character shape and more of a raccoon look. I still like to create different shapes. When you create shapes, you see what I mean? When you're creating all these shapes, it opens up, it changes its shape. If you do it on the right muscle, it should get bigger and then come down. That's just on just the white around your eye. Now we're going to get into doing eyebrows, because I can easily take those off. Here's your eyebrows. They're all different shapes. Now, if you were creating a square one, your white would have to be square. So, what you're looking for is your starting point. You can either go from the white of the eye to the white of the eye. You want to pick a point. Where are you starting? You're starting from the inner eye, straight up. Outer eye, straight up. Where are you going on the level of the top? Remember, if you have hair that's here, creating an eyebrow that's in here, no one's going to see it. That's why I come down, because I have a lot of hair on my forehead, because I don't like my forehead. So, the main part is, we're taking the fine liner. You can, like I said, use brushes or whatever. The first one was the box. We created the first line. Now, depending, like I told you, on your muscles. Some people have a straight brow that goes up. Some people have a brow that goes out. Even if you put a square one on and your face is round, it's going to go round on you. It's going to distort. No matter where you put it, it's going to distort because your muscles are a certain kind. But you wanted to square it. We're going to square it with the center of the eye and come down. And we're going to go to the outside eye and come down. Now, it's all up to you whether you want to bring that line all the way down here, but trying to create it exactly on the other side is a challenge. I'm trying to stay on the outside of the eye. If I go to this side, I know that this line has to be exactly that thickness outside it. So that someone says to me, how do you get the right the depth of it? Check the thickness right there, where on the pencil. And then you automatically know the pencil's this thick, bring the line down. You repeat the same thing on the other side. Now, up close with children, fine line. Stage point of view, thicker lines. And as I told you about this, there's no need to powder it. Perfectly set. There's your box. Depending on the nose, somebody goes, I don't really care for the box. When you try a different nose, it totally changes it. You go with a long nose. You can even put a box nose on. Box with box. You want to do the same thing with the mouth. Everything is the same size. Whatever this is, this is, this is. You can't get a mouth this big and this is going to start shrinking. It should have symmetry. Whatever's here should be the same size here, the same size here. Or you see a person with this dinky little nose. Doesn't fit the bigness of the whole face. So she really needed to have a bigger circle or a bigger heart on her nose. Pretty. She could have used the same tip, just outline it to make it look bigger. I saw a Spanish girl put a pro nose on in a heart, and she outlined it all in beautiful pink glitter to make the size match her face. Absolutely beautiful. Great idea to do it. The one to the right is an arch. This is what I see on almost everybody that does a Perot. But they start still at the level of where your real eyebrow is. And you want to pick a beginning spot, an end spot, and a height. By creating your dots, you have a place to go. If you don't, you're coming up here and you're going like this and you're going, it's not going to get there. Put a dot in between. If you ended up with it not being round enough and the dots and isn't big enough, you can go back and wipe it out and come further with the dot. Do you see how you're creating that arch? If you like the arch where it is, then it's going to be terrific when you fill it in. If it's too much on an angle like this and it's not really round like you want it, the roundness is opening up the eye. That's why you're creating that. When you're creating a box, you're trying to shorten the face. Shorten it this way, square it off. When you're rounding it, you're trying to lift up the face on a certain angle. If I did it out this way, I'm opening the eye this way. If I go this way, I'm opening the eye this way. By bringing it down, I'm bringing the eye down, the lid down. So the more you want it. But remember, your eye is a certain size. The bigger you make this white, the tinier your eye looks. And it's just not attractive if you've got tiny little eyes. Now the dots are bigger than what they're supposed to be, but I'm just giving you, you could have did little dots, tiny little things to find, but I made the dots larger because this is what you would wear if you were around children. If you were on a stage, the stage. Up close you go, oh my God, that's really big. Just like what you did with the other. You don't like how thick it is? Wet it with saliva. And thin it out. When you're doing this, I always say when you're practicing your eyebrow, invest in Q-tips, the company, because you're going to be using a lot. I find a Q-tip is actually one of the best things versus you going in there with a baby wipe and trying to wipe it thinner. And it's just your saliva that's cleaning it out. Now I know you would say, oh, can you just go and fill it in so I can really see what it looks like? No. Because if I do that, my eye's getting bigger and bigger, and when I go back to do the next one, I'm going to keep changing it. So we're going to go from one thing to another. Now, the next row is the looping effect. It's basically the same thing we're trying, and we're going like this. So I want to show you what these guys look like if you were to add a circle. We're going to take the Pro Pencil and we're going to outline the top. I do this with the large, the small, the whatever. If you wanted to make a big one, you could actually use this if you want to. But I'm going to show you it's better to start small and then go larger. I created a circle. I try not to come in too far past the natural eyebrow. That makes your eyes look like they're crossed. You can take the Pro Pencil and fill it in. Or you could have taken the liquid eyeliner and filled it in. Now that's if you just want a circle. That's one of them. It's the second row down. You can make that in the shape of a tear, like the sponge. Or you can do that. Or you can go back and take the tail and marry it. You're slowly filling it in on both sides. But remember, it's better to do little Now this was another thing I'm telling you about. We're pointing towards the nose. We're going to go this way, and this one's going to go this way. So you're creating angles like this. If you don't want to create that angle, you can wipe it out and put it a little higher. You can put that dot more this way than this angle. You could have went this way. If you've ever seen a person who's dressed as a woman impersonator. They put it like this, and they create this so they can put their colors in it, and it gives you more space for your colors. Even as a clown, you can add your blues, your greens, your fluorescents, and this will give you a big eye, big dramatic as you're going. Now when you're adding your colors are going to give you your shape, and your eyelash is going to give you your shape. What your eyebrow is actually doing, it can move. See, mine moves like a windshield, but mine goes like this. It keeps pointing towards the sides, and this one's pointing this way, so it's going like this constantly. But when I start the design for the color of the eye, it's going to start going like this and bringing it more out. And because the color and the other things are not in there yet, you don't see it. So we went with that there. The other was to take the tail and wrap it around the eye so you can see. I can do the same thing with a paintbrush. Now that's all filled in. You can do a little more arching if you want. You can bring it lower down, but you can see how that's creating a real good look. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I want to show you the difference and how it changed the shape. And also, that if you did an eyebrow first, you can do the opposite. Put the white in there afterwards. Create the shape you want first. Then go back and fill it in. There, even though I say I start with the white, I could start with the black and then just fill it in. See what I mean about eyebrows? If you can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Create it, it's on an angle and it's going this way because I could have brought it straight up and it would go that way. But it's a little more interesting to add that slight angle to it so your eyes are going like this. See, even though this one comes down here when it's down, but when it's up, it moved a ½ inch out. That's what you want. If it stays here and just goes straight, it's not opening your face. It's not showing real surprise. So that's the point of what we're learning. We're learning how one shape versus another shape can accent the eyes. That's why we outlined them first. By adding colors to this. And this also gives you an idea what the raccoon looks like. The raccoon can have an arch to it. It can have a tear, white coming down the side. It can have different colors in here. The wig totally changes the appearance too. See a difference? This is like almost like a lady from the changing the style and everything can give you a ladies look with the purples and everything in it. It gives you a guy's look. Now, where's the heart? I wanted to show you the lady's side with an accent right here. She's done her face and she wants a beauty mark. These here come with different shapes and everything. I believe this is it's a star. They come in different sizes. Depends on what you like. My friends from South America take stencils, put them here, and they create a star. You always go, how did they get that star so perfect? Easy, they put a stencil next to their face, and then they touched it with the makeup sponge, and they have the perfect star on both sides. It's angled. It's kind of like the stencil of the goose I showed you. But that gives you an idea of that shape. What we're going to do is take the guy's side off. Because it's one of the easiest things to do. Okay. And now we're going to try one of the triangles that go down on an angle. This is that pen I was telling you about that creates a teardrop. It's the corner of the eye. It creates that. This is the square with the long square tail. Whoops. I'm going to cover up the thing or I'm going to end up with a black hand, just like I said, to avoid. Remember, this here is set. It's done. But I always find that a thin line here gives it a finished look. It doesn't have to be as thick as I'm doing it. Now that's small. you can make it as big as you want. And you can make the tail as big as you want. You can also drag the tail. There's a heavier one. You see the movement? Dramatic from a stage point of view. Look at how when you get far away, it's not as big as you thought it was. And the further away you go, the smaller it looks. That's why I'm saying a stage point of view. When you're on the stage and you're making these faces, when you have a thin little line, you can see it move, but you're not really going to really see it. Now, close with a child, this is very dramatic. That's just your diamond starting there. See the difference? Thinner line, more of a point, and like I said, I don't have a tendency to make things exactly straight up. I could bring it out here and the face goes up, but this, I want to make the eyes go out with surprise. By going up, it's just going like that. It's almost like a ventriloquist doll that only has one shape. Same thing with the line that comes here. You can do the same thing around the face and make it even thinner. Just so it looks more professional that you're outlining it, you can almost make that line disappear. See, it's still there. And we took something drastic, medium, brought it back down, showed you the shape, showed how it changed. And now I want to show you what happens if you bring this shape to the center. There's more center. See how it only goes up, where when it was on a slight angle, it went more out? That's what I'm telling you what happens. Just by the placement of a line, drastically changes the look. It's the same thing by putting a dot here. If you're putting a dot here, or you have a crooked line here, it makes this off in a different direction. So we're looking for, as you can see, you could also go back and clean out a little more of this, and it would create a total different scoop look. Okay. We're still going back with the girl, but I want to show you what happens with the girl if we take the girl and do that circle higher. There it's higher. See how it automatically lifted the eye? You're also not going like this anymore. You're not seeing that angle here. So if you did it on the other side, all you're seeing is this. The other one was going like this. Just by moving it over 1 inch. Also, when you're creating it, even though we did a circle, what happens is the circle gets distorted. It's not perfectly round. And the reason why it loses its perfect is because of the tail. If you come down too far or too far up, you lose that roundness. If you come up too much, there's no round anymore, there's just this. So it depends on how much of a circle you want to see. Remember, without the circle, it's just like this, it's a tab. I like the roundness. It's also, like I said, from a distance, it's just a slow arch. If you were to take a large Pro pencil, you see the more dramatic? Just by changing the size, you've all of a sudden created a very dramatic eye. And look from a distance. You went from almost not knowing that it was a circle to definitely you know it's a circle. With the eyelashes and everything, totally changes it. So we've gone from creating boxes and triangles, going in angles. We've tried the square look. We've tried the tear eye. We have pretty much touched all of these shapes. I always tell people, be willing to try. It's important to try or we stay stagnant. And sometimes you'd be surprised, the slightest little difference totally changes the face. The next thing we were getting at was mouths. Now the problem with a mouth is, how does it fit in with the muzzle you pick? These are the muzzles. There's a whole white going around here. Got to pick a mouth that goes with it. What shape is your face? You got a big face, you have a big muzzle. You want to bring your face in from being fat, you make a smaller muzzle. If you want to calm the center of the face, you're just doing a red mouth or a black mouth, and you're outlining it in the white, which is still a form of a muzzle, it's just outlined. So the main part is we're going to try different lips first. And the first one is, I call it the China lip. And the China lip is easy. I use either these finger ones or I use the teardrop. I have teardrops in every single one. If you were going into something and you wanted a point, you go one end. But I don't use, if I use one end, I don't use the other one on the same one. I then allocate this as my point where I'm going to tab, and it's going to have more of a tail to it. So the point is, which one do you like to do? I'm going to use the finger one for now. What I'm doing is, I've already warmed up the makeup, and you can see it's quite shiny, so it's broken down. This is Jim Howell's. The other one was, I think it was Benign, because it's easier to take off. No, Clown White, Clown Makeup, and I believe Priscilla Moosberger sells them. She has a beautiful red anyways. And mine I bought years and years ago from Jim. What you're going to do is you've got your Cupid's bow, and you want to create your first two parts of the lip. Remember, you want a space in between. If your bottom lip, when you smile, disappears, you've got to come further up. I call that the Lucille Ball upper lip. You don't want it too big, you don't want it too small. It all depends on your nostrils. I usually say look at your nose from here to here. And you really want your mouth, this part here, to be as far out as the end of your nostril. Same thing with the bottom. When you smile, as you lip this with here, if it disappears, there won't be a smile. So I usually, whatever your normal lip is, I go twice as deep. But if you have a crack here, you want to make sure you stay above it. Anything in between, your lip is going to crack in half. I look for the Cupid's bow, come into exactly the center, now if you patted this on right, there shouldn't be any clumps. Pat it, pat it, look at the size. And now it's a regular mouth. Now, just like the eye, if you wait too long, it's going to start cracking. So what you have to do is clean it as quick as you can, go back and pat it once more. And depending on how much you want it, you're going to scoop down. If you go this way, it makes the mouth look fatter. You scoop it down, it makes it look trimmer. Now, if you have a tiny mouth and you're trying to make it longer, you're of course going to bring out it longer. Check your size. Are they both even? You like it? Like I said, don't take your time, because the more time you take, the more it's going to crack. Like I said, I have a brush for each color. It's my red one. Kabuki, Bristles, Bamboo. Now, if I'm going on a job, I don't wet this and set it. I leave some powder on it, because by the time I'm ready to leave the house, I'm probably going to have to powder it again because it's going to get wet. Once I get to the gig, I go like this and touch it, and it brightens it up. Of course, you're going to outline it in white. It gives it a professional look. I always tell people if you cannot do a fine line and it's choppy, it's better that you don't do one. But you should get used to doing one. Now, you can outline the whole thing. It's kind of nice just slightly doing it. It gives her a little more attitude. The angles of the cheeks, or the rouge, and the muzzle you're going to put around this is the thing that sets the whole attitude. If you weren't to put a muzzle on around this, you could just simply rouge the cheeks, put little highlights on the outside, and whether it's that or that look, you've got that. The next one over is this, but they're adding the little circles, depending on how big you want them. If you want them small, you take your Pro Pencil Small, touch your tap, now this is a straight face. If I wanted her to be hysterically happy, I would go up a little. If I wanted her sad, I would go down. This is a number 2 flat with a round edge. I never put all the makeup in the hilt of it. I keep it on the end. Now when you use a cap of something, you're almost guaranteed to have the same size. But as you're filling it in, you can have a tendency to get it a little bigger, a little higher. Try to stay inside it. You can always make it bigger. Remember, you're taking the flat part of it and flattening it out. Take your powder, like I said, if you set the lip real quick after you pet it, it seldom ever cracks. If you're talking too much and doing different things, even if it cracks, you go back with the finger, like I said, and keep patting it, and then set it again with powder. It's your simple face. Far away. Basically can't see it very much. So, you take your pencil. I'm only going to do one side. so you can see the difference. That's how quick it was. The tap, you made sure you knew where the point was that you liked. I pressed it enough. If you see your lip getting slightly moist, pat it again. This is what I was telling you about positioning. Look at this. Straight across. This one's slightly down. The further down I put it, she has different expression. Find out where that pip has to be to give the best expressions you need. If it's too high up, she's hysterically laughing all the time. Too far out, mouth is just drawn. If it's on the wrong muscle, it's just going like this. If you put it at the right place, it can go like that and get bigger. But look at it. Now, other than I have a lot of expression in my face, you're still creating expression. It's whether you want to make sure that this is not going to crack in any character line. See? I want to see it from here and not go over it because it's going to crack in the middle. But I just stayed just slightly in it. Okay? Now, give you an idea. Like I told you, you can do this, but let me get the finer brush. I have switched to a 0 point. Usually I season my makeup so it's warm on my hand, and I load my brushes. I wipe them out the first time, reload them. When you're outlining in white, you want to make sure you keep off the red. Because if you go into the red as the day goes by, it's going to bleed. I'm trying to show you the difference with a thicker line. There's your 2 lines. See the difference in expression? Got a daintier look. Is more comedy white face or a goose. More drastic. Look at the difference from a different point of view, from a stage point of view. Which one are you going to see? That's the point. So, we basically got the mouth. Now we want to go into a muzzle. There are other mouths to create, and I can do that very easy in the sense of getting rid of the top, I'm going to leave the hip on the side so you can see it. And we are going to create your smaller arch. That's your side. There's your other one that's smaller. This gives you an idea of the difference. Is the Pro Pencil. These are the difference in the color. Is there a difference from a different point of view? You go right there. Small, simple face. Back view. Up close, friendly, like a goose. Simple and small. That's that mouth. The other one is a bigger bottom lip. This is usually for a person like Jay Leno that has a long chin. And he'd have a chin down here, so you've got to bring his mouth further down. I still go back and decide how deep I'm going to do it. I still want to avoid the cracking chin routine. If you go into it, you've got to go deeper, but you're still gonna, after middle of the day, you're gonna see a crack in the middle of your mouth and look very amateur looking. This is the dramatic, I call it almost like the ventriloquist look. Like I said, this is created because the person has a long chin. And with the longer chin, he also comes up more. I'm going to show you a longer look on one side, a shorter one on the other. Also, he's coming up with the mouth, so it's kind of tear. I have another thing. When you get a Pro Pencil and someone says it keeps breaking, I can't get a good point. Stick them in the freezer. It hardens up the oil in it. For the first time, I've actually run out of Q-tips. Thank God I have stock in the company. What he's trying to do is he's got a long square chin. He's trying to fill in with it, and he has a jowl, and he's trying to take care of that jowl. You'll see my jowl is right here. So what I'm trying to do is stay more on the outside of it. Now, like I told you, like up here, when you smile, where's it moving? Is it showing expression? If it's not, move it down more. Put it up. Pull it out. Every time you move this, you create a whole different kind of mouth that's unique for your face. If you want, you have this long for the long chin, like I said, with a circle in the corner. You're still going back, like I said, no matter what you do. You have to go back, and you really have to outline it, because if you don't, it just doesn't look professional. Just to give you an idea. Not outlined? Outline. Which one gives you that real professional look? You want to practice how to do lines? Fill your brush, take your hand, and make lines. Take your brush and slowly turn it as you are loading it. And what that does is it flattens the point, just like face painting. It's flattening, it's putting just enough on the edge, and keeps a nice point for you. Now that I've outlined it in white, wait until you see the movement. What you couldn't see before and remember, you want to keep the white off the red. If you've touched it, go back and wipe it out. If it gets sloppy, Q-tip it away. Even when you did the white there, and you found that you made it too thick, you can always take the Q-tip and go back and thin it out. See the difference? Some people like that, some people like that. It's all up to you. Now that's just creating the mouth. If we put a muzzle around this, totally changes it. So we went from the Cupid little cute mouth out further. We went to a simple bow on the bottom with a pip and a small one on the other side. Now we went into the more artistic smile. This is more artistic. It's got more shapes, it's got more pizzazz, and so forth. Also, it has no upper lip. You do want to make sure you set it, or at least clean this out before, or you're going to end up with an upper red lip. I always end up with it slightly red anyways by 2 hours after a gig anyways, as long as it's not going way up into the white. Now, we want to create different muzzles next. The problem with muzzles is that once you have the red on your face, no matter how you apply the different muzzles, you create a disaster. So you have to actually take the mouth off. I have a feeling applying the next mouth and everything is going to be slightly pink, but okay, the first mouth is the crest. Looks like a shield. I'm already 2 hours. Like, you're really going to watch this for that length of time. The crest goes over and comes down. It's another Jay Leno thing for a long face. If you pat it until it almost feels dry, you can feel the difference in the tackiness. And normally, I don't pat too much on the lips. But now with the shield, that's the first one, right here. That's called the shield. You're either going to go past your lines, see your character lines? You're either going to come out further and come down, or you have to stay inside. When you stay in, you don't really end up with a shield. You end up with a donut. So you have to come more into the cheek. And remember what I said. If I keep talking and not getting it done, it's going to crack in those character lines that I'm starting to develop. Grab your baby wipe. This is also a good design that gets rid of the jowl effect. The jowls are still here, but we're drawing your attention in towards the face. If you haven't noticed, I have trouble with this side of my face. I had a stroke at 40. One side of my face hangs slightly. You don't see it till you try to pull on it. Now you have to make sure you go straight or slightly across. If not, it looks like a heart. That's the shield. Can be a little more pointy if you want. It come down, but that's my version of a shield. I'm not going to set them in powder because I want to be able to take it off. Now, the shield also comes with side arms. That's the second one. You have the shield, and then you're putting 2 circles on both sides. Trusty. I'm going to pick smaller circles. The other one is a little, this one is a little smaller circle. Absolutely beautiful for face painting. Doing little bubbles and everything on someone's face. Clouds. You touch it to your thing, boom, cloud's done. Now, they gave a slight thing. Go back in. Try to check, are they at the same height? So you're creating the shield top, bubbles on the side, mouth fits inside. You also have a lot of dramatic because you've created all these different shapes. You can see its movement. Terrific. If I was to outline this, you'd go, wow, crazy. But we're not going to do that because if I do that, I can't change to the next one. The next one is basically a donut shape. All we're going to do to create the donut, which is the next row down, the donut shape, is we round off the top. I almost call this the Mickey Mouse face. Now what they did was they wiped this out at the bottom, but then the next one they go down. So I'm showing you the center one first. And then I'll go back and wipe it out. You see what I'm talking about. Long chin brings it up. You've got a neck, but if your chin's this long, you've shortened it by bringing it here. Do the circles, go out into the cheek. You're going to still put rouge around it and everything. And you still got the mouth inside to do. You do a bottom lip and 2 circles here. You wouldn't fill the whole thing in, but a small line here, 2 pips in the corner would be great. The bigger the design on the outside, the bigger the mouth can be. The smaller it is, just the bottom lip would be done, and no pips. You pat this until, like I said, it feels like it's dry. But you can see I've already given you, I believe this is the 4th. Now, then the last one is actually just coming even further down on the chin. This is for Jay Leno with his real long chin. You can do the complete arch going down like this, or you can give it a slight indent. And a little more personality. See the difference? Personality. Kind of heavier. Depends on how wide the chin is. The wider the chin, this might look better, this might look too small. On me, the smaller one and more lines in it gives it a real dramatic look. So there is that. You can make this a little smaller. They should have a similarity in sides. You don't want real tiny side panels, because then you knock off the size. Whatever size the ball here is, it should be the same size there. And it's just like I said, if you bring this down, bring it up, down. See the difference? You got one that goes this way, you got one this way that goes this way. Bring it down, it has more drama this way. See the difference in the chin? It's giving you 2 different looks with the oval mouth on the top. The other one is to give you the pips on both sides. This would be just tiny little pips and a tiny little mouth on this side. It's almost like the red. You just do a tiny little red circle and just the bottom lip. This you would give a bigger one. So basically, I've shown you all the things I promised. I hope you like it. Remember, I'm a member of COAI. It's a great organization, and without you, we won't exist down the road. So please become a member or sponsor someone. We do have regional VPs. Ours is Connie. She's a great person to contact for any information. She'll tell you about any local alleys in your area or your town. We also have the group that you can join if you wanted to see our back issues. We have 35 years of them. You can see basically any subject you want. We have a wonderful yearly convention, unless the disaster we had now, but we had a wonderful virtual first time, and I've heard it was wonderful. My illness kept me from doing it because I have narcolepsy, and you can't stay awake with narcolepsy. Anyways, the point is, it's a great thing to support, and if you don't support it, it won't exist down the road. If you need any supplies, Priscilla Moosberger is a vendor who also supports COAIs, and that's why I support her. She's also a best friend. And she will help you with any products that we were talking about. She has all kinds of whites, and she will suggest it and tell you how to apply it if you want. She has reds, blacks, pro pencils, all kinds of applicators and so forth. She also carries a line of noses too. Gets some great wigs from her. And if you're looking for a costume, because I'm retired now, she's a wonderful designer, and she has a person that makes the costume. They are outstanding. If I didn't like them, I wouldn't tell you anything about it, but I am blown away by her quality, and have ever since I became a member of COAI. I actually missed her the first year in '92, but I got to see her the next year, and I was thrilled by the quality of her costumes. She has collars, cuffs, hats, any kind of hat. She can design a hat for you too. She's great with accessories, and her costumes are unbelievable, men or women, and one of a kind. Anyways, remember, we cannot exist if it isn't for you. This may be a future story in the Calliope. I'm going to send it to the editor. If he likes it, we'll put it in writing. Like this tape, it's 2 hours and almost a half, but it's worth every hint. If you were to watch me at a convention, I would have back-to-back classes, which are an hour long. If you're learning a technique, it is very hard for someone to talk and to show you. I could have put this on my face and went like this, like that, but without me talking and explaining why, that's why it's worth the extra time. So I hope I haven't kept you and you've fallen asleep or celebrating another birthday, but that's with education. I hope you like it. If you can think of anything that you'd like to see that I've shown you, let me know. I'm willing to create another video. I only had about 4 episodes, but they were short ones. They were only like 15 minutes where I'm totally paralyzed in my body. And as long as I come out, I try to get something accomplished. But like Ann Sanders says to me, my other best friend, they want to see your personality. Writing in one dimension doesn't show Designo. Designo's a very emotional person. He likes to show you from inside. Like I said, I love to do this. I love to show you my education and what I've learned through the years. And if this helps you to be a better clown, let me know. And if you join COAI, tell them Designo sent you. If you go to Priscilla, which is a great vendor of COAI, tell her Designo sent you. I don't get anything from it, but it tells Priscilla that I'm pushing her because I like her, and I really think that if we're not supporting our vendors, they won't be there for us. Yes, you can buy your stuff online, but can you get advice from online? You buy the white and you're having trouble with it. Can you go online and contact it? If you buy something from Priscilla and you're having trouble, or you want an idea, she'll say, designer will talk to you, or my daughter is a terrific artist. She'll show you what you're doing wrong. We have virtual things online. I don't know what she charges, and it's well worth anything, but she will give you a one-on-one class too. For a certain price, there shouldn't be anything free today in life. I mean, I can give it because I'm at a certain point in my life, but someone that's younger needs a couple of dollars, and let's take it out of our pocket and show them appreciation. They might say, oh, don't worry, there's no charge. That means buy something from mom without telling you that. Because if mom does something, mom takes her daughter everywhere to teach. She's a wonderful person. Both of them are excellent makeup artists. Stand behind them all. Like I said, COAI is my family. It's my second family at least. And I am very devoted to them. And I know if we don't become a member, it will pass. And once it passes, someone can say, we'll just create another one. It won't be the same. It is nothing like a strength of a family that brings us on. So anyways, we've got a brand new president. I believe he's starting his second term. And we'll have an election again. He'll probably be our president again, which is terrific. There's nothing like a president staying in, too. It strengthens the group. He has some great ideas. If you have some, let him know. We have a great population. Anyways, I'm going past 2.5 hours. I need to say goodbye. I'm the longest wind person in the world. And I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope to see you in the center ring someday. And if you do your face, and my technique is really neat, Facebook it to me. Let me see what you learned from me. And that shows I'm growing too. I hope to pass my memories on before I pass on. I'm not dying right now, but my health is declining, and I want to make as many tapes as I can and write as much as I can before, if the narcolepsy goes any further. But not talking negative. There's a positive world out there, and if I'm making someone a clown, putting a smile on their face, and improving one part on your face, I did my job. Anyways, God bless you, and I hope to see you in the center ring someday. And remember, COAI, it's the last 2 pictures, all the information. Tell Laura Smith I sent you. Say Designo sent me, and I want to be a member, or I want to give a membership away to a Junior Joey or someone in my group. It's great education. Thank you very much. Bye.